Happy September 26th. 26 years ago today, ironically, it was also September 26th, but it was 1996. And oh, the first month of high school is fun every year. It's always good to return and see new people, new subjects, new teachers, and privileges and prestiges of being in a higher grade. For me, it was grade 10. And it's really where I turned my life around. It's when I committed to my spiritual and magical practices and began a new journey and went from being a straight F student to a straight A student. So yes, those two things did not happen by accident. And I'm sure you know what I mean. And I stopped wearing all the black and quit the eyeliner of my Gothic earlier years. I was reading less about magic and more about Rudolf Steiner and developing my 12 senses. A day meditation on the lunar eclipse. And this is a powerful thing to do if you've never done one. Now, I instantly regret, of course, and wish that I had noted the time of this working. I didn't like watches, and there was no cell phones back then, so checking the time was very different 26 years ago, and not just as important, really, especially for a teenager, but it should have been for a magician, which is what I was trying my best to be. So maybe I did my meditation in the day to time it with the actual eclipse, but I don't really know. So you can learn here from my mistakes. P.S. You may see the next entry isn't till October 5th in my diary entry. So till then, I will be making more of these going backwards in time. And there are already a few on my website, which you can access free by signing up to the CyberGuild, which is an open forum for learning these occult arts. 9/26/96, day the lunar eclipse. My meditation was very clear, and I went into the depths of my being. I asked nothing and simply sat in utter awareness. This was a very odd period in my magical life. I was waiting for initiations so I could begin my weekly classes at Temple Tahuti. I mostly meditated. I had been told to stop pretty much everything I had been practicing from Israel Regardie and Donald Michael Craig, which was deflating, but I trusted the process. I knew the order I was joining would have me perhaps learning from Don Craig and other notable teachers soon enough, in person, of course. So that was an exciting thing. And yeah, easy to trust the process that I was advised to do. So I waited and focused on getting my grades up, as I had just started grade 10 and wanted to change my my grade average from F. I had gotten 1A in grade 9, but just one. And so also, if I didn't change that by the end of grade 10, they would gently ask me to leave the private school that we were paying very little money to go to since my parents' divorce. So I made it my priority, my commitment to myself, to get my schoolwork done before magical work. And that was a game changer in my life. And I didn't have to worry about pesky things like girlfriends back then, so it was easy to do. Now, the power of the moon on this day and night, I believe, have given me increased awareness. This is indeed a powerful night. It's an interesting point that I made here in this diary, because it doesn't really, in some ways, it doesn't tell you that much. Why would I write this? Why wouldn't I? Now, the reason I would take the time to meditate into such a state of awareness or darkness or emptiness was because I was preparing myself for major initiations over the next 3 to 5 years as I worked through the elemental grades of the Golden Dawn at Temple Tahuti. My intense years of focus on magic, from Druidry to Wicca, had of course led me to the Golden Dawn, as it is from the Golden Dawn system that Wicca was designed by Gerald Gardner. Ironic how many people, in fact, who got into Wicca as a reborn neo-pagan tended to end up at Wicca's Hermetic Golden Dawn roots and right back into the Judeo-Christian world, albeit of a very Greco-Egyptian Hermetic variety, which often has very tentative divisions between paganism and monotheism in its worldview. It's just a different way of looking at things. So I was preparing myself as a sort of alchemical alembic as I was instructed by, at the time, very honored Frater AMO of Temple Tahuti. 3, my skill with the tarot has been improving, and the trumps are showing extreme clarity. Those are the major arcana trumps, of course, the 22 cards. Thanks to Inanna, goddess of the moon, I give her praise. There's a few things going on here. Getting better at tarot by just doing tarot is not always the best thing to do. I started doing tarot readings at age 12, 13 to make some pocket money, and because I loved doing it, of course, and was curious to explore and see what realms of understanding and relational revelation were possible in the practice of these forms of divination. And of course, practice does make perfect, but if you've ever trained a technical skill, you know that there are a lot of other things you can do that will complement the skill development. For example, improving your tarot and divination skills by working with spirits, or in this case, a god, as well as planetary forces such as the moon. So since I began my magical practice in 1994, after 6 years of being initiated into my transcendental meditation practice following our yoga guru, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, I was originally trying to connect more with the sun and moon in a druidic kind of way. But then Scott Cunningham's books whisked me off into the wonderful world of Wicca, so I worshipped and worked with the moon nonstop. Eventually, my mother gave me a calendar of goddesses, and Inanna particularly spoke to me. And at the same time, one of the biggest bands in Canada put out a song called Inanna, and it was absolutely, totally like the goddess was suddenly speaking directly to me. I can't even begin to tell you all the corollary benefits that come from this kind of devotional magic through worship of the moon and my new patron goddess, Inanna. It was a very fulfilling and beautiful thing. Plus, it connects you to these skill sets and sensitivities you need to be good at divination. Fun fact, at my most recent ordination at the Temple and Fellowship of Isis, Inanna stayed with me as one of my patrons, along with Tahuti and Hecate. And during the ceremony with the Archpriestess and TOI founder, Arissa Victor, a.k.a. Granny Rainbow, and Marilyn Mother Bear, both 82-year-olds who were veterans in their traditions. Mother Bear is well known from the Church of All Worlds and her own magical group of Eleusinians, the Cauldron of the Western Sea. Sometimes just trying to do a thing until you get good at it isn't enough. You've got to strengthen sort of the weaker muscles with different exercises. And in this case, it's devotional magic to gods or spirits or saints or daimones. These relationships are always reciprocal. And for the magician, they will help you attune to yourself and the world in a new and hopefully challenging ways. 3 insights for you from this. 1, record start and end times. 2, devotional magic. And 3, entreat divine patrons. And I say entreat for a reason. Let me explain. So first off, just record the start time and the end time. It doesn't have to be completely precise, but you need to get into the habit now. Precision's good, but the habit's more important. Please just trust me on that. I have many regrets as I'm looking through my diaries these days and doing these things and going, damn, why didn't I just do that? Like, just do that. Especially now that we have devices all around us that tell us the time. 2, devotional magic 3 times a day. When it comes to devotional magic, I wish I had known that if all I did was increase my workings to even 3 prayers to the goddess or god at my altar or shrine, or your altar or your shrine, that the difference would be exponential. So maybe try to keep regular devotions rather than just here and there doing an extremely in-depth and deep meditation or operation or ritual. Those should be still done, but on top of a base of regular prayers and offerings and invocations. The reasons for that could be discussed at length. That's a better topic to discuss long form on podcasts with upcoming exciting guests. Now 3, entreat divine patrons. Why? With devotional magic, patrons have always seemed to me different than spirit guides. Guides often seem naturally inclined to be around the person and help you with what you're learning and doing, whereas patrons seem to be drawn by your intentions. So your ritual actions, your offerings, your sacrifices, your prayers. And these divine gods or spirits seem to naturally respond to supplication and devotion. And as you enter into their existence, so they enter into yours, which brings a whole range of delightful blessings, but also challenges. So while spirit guides are highly unlikely to thwart you or make your life more difficult, in my experience, patrons definitely have no qualms about testing you and challenging you to grow in ways that allows you to connect more and deepen your relationship with them more, enter further into the mysteries, as we say. I wish I had waxed a bit more poetically in my diaries about these relationships that I had, but I kept a lot of that inspiration and wrote it into ritual design ceremonies for my still active pagan coven with my two friends. Every Sabbath we would celebrate. And of course, I expressed these divine intercourses in poetry, as I was a very active poet from those years and well through my 20s and 30s, till eventually I had transitioned to almost exclusively writing songs. So who are your patrons, or spirit guides, or both? Have you attracted them? Where have you found them? What has connected you with them? I'd love to hear about that. That's one of my favorite things to talk about. And if you want to share them, write them in the comments below. I'm available to chat, but you can also do so not just on YouTube, but in the private comments and chats under the video in my free CyberGuild. So we can do it, as it were, sort of behind the veil of my Hermetic Mystery School. I hope I see you there, and we can talk more about all this beautiful and inspiring stuff. Have a gorgeous day.